morning, everyone online. Just a few announcements. Don't forget, today is Summit. Who's going to Summit? Okay, good. Good answer.
I think I'll.
And you guys, as you guys know, the needs analysis class tomorrow is not happening because he did both combined yesterday. Okay, so there's not going to be a class tomorrow. The compliance call is not going to happen this week. Someone asked me about it yesterday, so I just want to remind them. And then you guys were reading, I think we're on chapter 8.
So we're going through all the scrolls.
We are, yeah.
So
Yeah, so we're gonna go through all of that. You guys are the greatest salesman in the world. It's an amazing book. We're going through all the scrolls and we're gonna be practicing that. You guys, Call Blitz is happening on Monday. It's actually gonna go out. We're actually going to have a sign-up sheet. We want all 12 slots filled up. It's a great time to prospect in the evening to reach out to clients that you kind of miss during the day, right? That are working. So it's a great opportunity to go in and make more appointments with your friends and your colleagues and other agents. It's fun. Okay, I think that's about it. John, you're up. Gratitudes and wins, please share.
Any quickly? Jason? Any gratitudes?
I got lots of gratitude.
Do you? You're exuding with it. We can see it. That's why I asked.
That's right. It's always good. I have an opportunity to take care of my mom a little bit.
Yeah.
And, it's just a good opportunity to help someone that needs it, and connect with. And she's going through some trials, but it's good that I'm in a position that I can take care of her.
That's awesome.
I'm grateful for that.
Yeah, good for you. Good. Okay, anybody else quickly? Goals, gratitude, yes.
yeah. So I reached my goal for setting appointments. I wanted to.
Outstanding. That's
Yep.
great.
So,
Good.
4 appointments.
How many appointments? You set 4 appointments. Nice.
So one was a follow-up. So
It was
Trying to-
more Aubrey.
yeah, I had an accountability.
Why are you trying to put an asterisk on it?
I don't know. Well, that guy.
Yeah,
That's good.
that's awesome. That is great. Very cool. Yes.
Wanted to share some things too, just along the lines of that. My mom, she had a scan and now she's got like these little, little lumps on her thyroid. So she has got a scan and they're like, oh, we want to rule out cancer. So she was a little scared. I'm like, it's kind of nothing. You're a fighter. It's great. So just along the lines of that, I'm just so grateful that I'm, close to family. And if you're not, still reach out. You don't know how important they are and how at ease you can put them just to let them know that you care about them. So that was just in the mix of, life being so busy. Don't forget to create that balance of relationships.
Yep.
So I just love that. This reminded me of that too. And she was really upset and scared yesterday. It's gonna be great. And we're here with you.
Yeah.
Great. Make sure you expedite everything that you need to do.
She's in our prayers. Yeah, both mamas are in our prayers. So yeah. Okay, cool. All right. So I was thinking about what I was going to talk about this morning, and I thought about my own personal journey in real estate, April. And I was also thinking about when George and I finally decided to start Everest, and just that journey from when I started in the business to when we started the company, the growth that I went through, and what really the difference was. And I thought that I would share that with you. Here's what was cool. By the time that I had sold real estate at that point for 16 years, which looking back now doesn't seem like a long time. And for some of you look at it and say, well, that's a long time. But when you've been doing it for 30 years, you say, well, that's not a long time. And the older you get, you'll know what I'm talking about. I stroke my gray beard and my long locks. But when George and I started the company in 2009, I was fortunate enough that I had built up a great database of SOI, of sphere of influence. And Aubrey, I was doing about $250,000 to $300,000 nearly 20 years ago, just off of my sphere of influence, not to mention the other business that I did. And it was very fortunate that was happening. But it was because that at one point in my career, I realized the importance of doing it. And I made certain that I had a plan, basically, or an approach that allowed that to happen. And those of you who are in the business long enough know what I'm talking about, because I know you have a great business built upon a database of SOI, and I know that, Brenda, you do as well. So would you guys be interested to hear more about what I did and how I did that?
Yeah.
Just give you some perspective. 15, 20 years ago, just off of my SOI, I was making $250,000 to $300,000. 15 to 20 years ago, translate that today would probably be what? Probably be about $1 million in SOI plus the other business that I was doing. So I know that this system actually what?
Works.
It works. Start first of all with this observation, gang. If whether you're brand new in the business, right, or you've been doing it for decades, I want you to start with this mindset. It's really important. Write this down. I need to have, write this down, word for word. I need to have the business maturity. I need to have the business maturity. I need to have the business maturity to respect the relationships. I need to have the business maturity to respect the relationships. And you were definitely writing with your correct hand. Well, yeah. I need to have, good morning, doctor. The doctor's in the house, if anybody needs any services. Have the business maturity to respect the relationships. What does that mean? Well, what it means is instead of just simply having a database, what I want for you is I want you to have a list that it's a database really of not names, but of relationships. And there is a difference there. See, for a lot of agents, they have this a database, if they have one at all, and it's just a bunch of names. And then there are those where they have this database and it is a bunch of definitely what? Relationships, because there is this recognition. Look, I have to have the business maturity that number one, and I want you to write this down. They need to know who I am. You might say, well, if they're in your sphere of influence, don't they know who you are? Well, yeah, they do, but do people forget? And these are past clients, right? In many cases. So they need to know who I am. Number one, they need to know who I am. Number two, they need to know what I do. They need to know what I do. Don't assume that these people who are in a database, your database, they don't even know, first of all, that you have them in a database. They don't know. They don't know. Can I break something to you? Those of you who may have fragile self-esteem, say yes. Yeah. They're not even thinking about you. I know, Jason. They're not even thinking about you. Right? How could they not think about me? They're not. And it's so interesting that I find that agents resist calling people in the database because they're afraid that, well, I haven't talked to them in what? Forever, in months or years. And so if I call them up, it's not going to be a good conversation because they're going to wonder why I didn't what? Call them sooner. Can I just break something to you? They're not thinking about why you're not calling because they have their own what? They have a what? A life, right? But they need to know who you are and they need to know what you want. And then number three, they need to trust you. They need to trust you. Now, some of the people in your database, you've done a transaction with them, so they know the high level of service that you provide, so they do trust you. But there are a lot of people in that database who've probably never done a transaction with you, yes or yes.
Yes.
And those people don't know if they trust you. Maybe they do, but do you know that for certain? See, if you're not communicating with people consistently, right, letting them know who you are, what you do, they're not going to trust you. You're leaving it by chance. How many of you have ever, and probably leave this for the veterans in the room, have you ever gotten a call from a past client or a family member and you were just catching up and you found out that they actually moved? Yeah.
Five this year.
Yeah. Five? That's not cool.
Not at all.
Yeah, you know who's responsible for that?
Me, yeah.
Yes, you are. Yeah. Can I share with you a very quick story? It's kind of a funny story, but it's also very painful. Say yes.
Yes.
This is a conversation. That would be really odd if you and I were talking and I asked you a question and you just looked at me and batted your eye. It's a great smile. But a couple of years ago, I sat down with an agent in January. We were talking about, okay, one of the things you're going to need to do in order to get to your goal, we acknowledge that you're going to have to work on building your SOI and putting together this plan that we're going to talk about. And I said, and one of the things we have to do is make certain that we offer value. What I find is a lot of agents, when they think about, offering value, they'll provide like recipe cards or things that don't really have anything to do with selling real estate. And this agent said, oh my gosh, you're not going to believe this story then. And I said, well, what is it? They said, well, every year I send out this recipe for this banana nut bread. It's a family recipe and it's great. And every Christmas I send it out. And then I will follow up and ask them, hey, did you happen to get the recipe card? And I was going through my database and making those calls. And I got to one of the people in my database and they said, no, didn't get it. Well, that's weird because I know I sent it to you. You're on my list. And the prospect or the client said, well, could you send it to me? again. And the agent said, well, yes, of course. And the client said, but well, wait a minute. But let me give you my new address. And the agent goes like, this is why she didn't get it, right? See, the agent would consistently send a recipe card for banana nut bread. It has nothing to do with buying or selling real estate. And from the client's perspective, the past client's perspective, that this agent was a great source for what? Banana nut bread. But when it comes time to selling real estate, they didn't know what they did. They have no clue what the agent did, obviously, because if they did, they would have picked up the phone and what? Called, or better yet, the agent would have done their job and consistently called and found out that they were interested in what? Moving and also having some great banana nut bread at Christmas time, right? So let me share with you what my system was. It was very, very, very simple. It's not complicated. The key is to any system, you actually have to what? You have to work it. And if you don't, it's not going to work. It's like any formula. If you don't use it, it doesn't work. This is a simple formula. Number one, make certain that you have a database of names, of addresses. So names, address, telephone number, and ideally a birthday. Okay. And if they're past clients, obviously you would want to include like the anniversary of when they bought their home. Okay. So name, address, telephone number, birthday, and anniversary if they're a past client.
Did you add email?
Yes, sorry. Email, obviously. Yes, thank you. Add email. Okay. So number one, a database. Now, what I would recommend is Excel. And it's not, any of you know how to use Excel? How many of you don't know how to use Excel? I have no clue. Congratulations. Thank you. High five. Yeah, I have no clue how to use Excel. You don't have to know how to use Excel. Find somebody who does. Okay, one of the things that I find so interesting for so many real estate agents at is they will say, well, I don't know how to do it. And so then therefore they never do it. Have you ever heard about leveraging the skills and abilities of other people? Say yes.
Yes.
So if there's something you don't know how to do, then reach out to somebody who does to get the job done. I mean, George and I have a lot of people within the company who do the things that we don't have the time for or don't have the skill for. I can't do his job. So I leverage him. He does a great job at what he does. But you've got to leverage other people. So number one, make sure you have a database in Excel so then you can import it to whatever contact relationship management you use. And I don't care which one you use. It doesn't matter to me. You know which one is the best one, though, in my opinion? Say it.
The one you use.
The one you use. Just use one. I don't care what it is. For me, I'm really old school. So when I do like follow-up, I use a binder. And I can show it to you. I use a binder. Now, yes, I had a database that was electronic, but in terms of follow-up, it was all old school. It was just a binder with sheets. Okay. So number one, have a database of names in Excel so that you can import it to any CRM. Then, next is that we're going to contact everybody in the database on a 90-day calendar cycle. 90 days. Everybody's going to get a phone call from us every 90 days. Okay. In a 90-day calendar cycle, how many business days are there? I'll get to the answer quickly. 60. 60. Okay. You take out the weekends. Okay. It's 20 in a month. So 2 times 3 is 60. So 60, that means that if you take the number of people in your database and divide that by 60, it tells you how many people you need to call on a what? On a daily basis. How many of you are doing this right now? You have a designated number of people in your SOI database you're calling every single day. I see, it's interesting because I see the 2 veterans who have robust businesses that I know where the vast majority of their business comes from their what? And you ladies make hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars. I don't want to speak for them, but I will. A lot of money. And you probably aren't going to appreciate me saying this, but how many doors do you have?
18.
She has 18 doors, meaning you said, what doors? What do you mean? Like investment property. She has 18 doors. And she financed that by
one mortgage.
And one mortgage. There you go. A lot of money. And you finance that by working with a lot of what? Your SOI. It's very powerful. I watch agents beat their head against the SOI or the cold calling door or wall right? Trying to build relationships with the people they don't know. And yet they have this treasure trove of people that they're ignoring because they don't have the business maturity to respect the relationships. They need to know who you are and what you do. Yes or yes?
Yes.
So if you'll call them once a quarter or every 60 calendar days, because those are the business days, divide that number into the number of people in your database, you know how many people you have to talk to. How many do you call on a daily basis?
Of my SOI,
Yeah.
it's around 25.
Around 25. There you go. Big database, right? So number one, make the phone calls. Number two, send out something through snail mail or US Postal Service on a quarterly basis. They need to receive something from you. We'll talk about what something is in just a minute. Okay. They need to receive something from you on a quarterly basis every 90 days. Okay. Through the United States Postal Service. And then number next, they need to receive something through email on a monthly basis from you. This is just the system that I used. You can modify it, improve it. Everybody would get something from me on a monthly basis. It's via email. Okay. And then what I would do is on an annual basis, I would do some sort of like client appreciation event or events. Recommendation, I would do at least 2, but whether it's 1, 2, 3, somewhere in that range, do a client appreciation event or events.
And what's easy if we do 2 a year, so.
And there's a reason we
get
do that.
involved. Yeah,
We make it really easy. Okay, so somebody recount for me the steps that you should be taking with your SOI. Yes,
Before
Brenda.
you go on, I would just say I categorize my SOI, I tried.
Yes.
A, B, and C.
Yep.
My A's are my A's that
Uh-huh.
prefer me and love me and know me and all that jazz.
Yep.
Way more often.
Yes. Yep.
So it kind of changes that.
The dynamic. Yep. They're the A's, the B's, and the C's. The A's are the people who will go out of their way not only to work with you, but to give you referrals. Right. The B's are the people who will work with you, but you got to make certain that you maintain contact with them. And sometimes there's going to be competition. They may be interviewing other agents. And the C's, they're on probation. You're right. They are. To me, they were on probation. It's either I was going to coach them up to a B or an A, or I was going to coach them out. Yeah. Okay. So to your point, and I'm sorry I didn't mention that. Categorize your people A, B, or C. Okay. You're going to spend more time with your A's because those are your raving fans. They will go out of their way to spend time with you. They like you. They love you. Yes.
It's around technical. Can I share? What I would really recommend everybody does
Yeah.
is put all your contacts in Google. If you don't know how to do anything else, just put them in Google. Get really good with putting them in Google. And then you can export that into Excel or
There you go.
any other thing. So just be really good with Google or your iPhone. Your iPhone can sync with Google, so you could just put all of them here. But just wherever it is, just get really, really, really good. You can export everything from here onto Excel. It's just like a YouTube video or a Google search or something.
So if your Android is different.
No, if you're Android, no, it's
So you put it in Google. So when they ask you.
because
where to put
Android is
these-
Google. So
So when they say, where do you want to put these contacts, and then all those options, you should always pick Google.
um,
I don't know.
well, how do you have? I mean, maybe. you
I
don't
use
have
the
to-
Excel, I'm an Excel
It's
spreadsheet
just the
girl.
people use.
Yeah, just,
Yeah,
I would stick with what you have for you, but for anybody who's just starting. Like, I wouldn't
What do you
start
think,
over
Google?
for you,
Put it in Google.
or if you have a bunch of them in your phone already. You could export them into Excel, and you just have to figure out which ones were missing from your Excel. Cause there's probably people in your phone that are not in your Excel.
Well, I know the company's pushing to the Moxie.
Yep.
And if you can get it in Excel or a Google, then you
You can
can
get it in
probably
the box.
export.
Then you
it
can.
right over there.
Yes, I'm assuming you can with Google. I know you can with Excel. Yes,
Yeah,
without a doubt.
perfect.
Yep.
Well, if you
By the way,
Excel, you can export it into anything.
anything.
Yeah.
Yep. And to Jason's point, it really,
Export it into Excel.
yeah. And to Jason's point, it doesn't matter which way you do it, as long as it's the one that you'll actually do. So if any of this is over your head, it's beyond your pay grade, like it is for me. Again, leverage other people, find out, but don't wait and say, well, because I don't know how to do that, I'm not going to do it. I watch agents who are literally in the business for 5, 10, 15, 20, 30 years, and they're still not leveraging their SOI. It doesn't make any sense to me. And I watch agents who've been in the business 20, 30, 40 years. And then when it's time to retire, they have this huge, really productive database of not just names, but relationships. And then they find an exit strategy, a young agent who's brand new in the business, been in the business 2 or 3 years to take over that business. They sell that business to them. They actually have a business. See, this is your business. You can take it and sell it to this new agent. And then when they close a transaction, you get a percentage of the business over time. Yes or yes? It works that way, right?
Yes.
Yes. Kind of.
It's
Okay.
relationships.
It is. It's
So
relationship.
It would be like, if I was gonna sell my business, I'd have to send a notice out to the world. My contacts. I'm moving on, and here's my trusted partner.
Right. I've helped many agents. I've helped a lot of agents in California go through that process because we had a large population of aging agents who were trying to get out of the business. It works. So gang, look, have the business maturity to respect the what? The relationships, and have a system where you reach out to people. Now, just in closing, I said I was going to talk about what you send out. It is really simple. It should be the same thing every time, in my opinion, because you guys are real estate agents, and as such, you need to provide value to them about real estate. So what I would send out on that quarterly basis or in the email is a market update. Tell them what's happening in the market. Be their resource for what's going on in the market. One of the things that I see April doing consistently online is giving people information about what's happening in real estate or things that are relative to real estate. Information, statistics. And when she does that, she positions herself as the market what? Expert, authority. And so people know who she is and what she does. So when it comes time for them to buy or sell real estate, if by chance it's not within her cycle to call them, they're more likely to pick up the phone and call who? Her. So something of value should be sent to them, and that something of value should simply be a market report. So on a monthly basis, you can email them an update every 30 days on what the market is doing. And then in that quarterly email or quarterly report that you send out through the US Postal Service, it's just a quarterly report on market statistics. Make sense? So right now in January, I would be sending out a report that shares what happened in Q4 in 2022. And then when we get into Q2 of 2023, I'm going to send them a report for what happened in Q1 of 2023. Does that make sense? And all this information is available where?
MLS.
On the MLS. It's not like you have to invent any of this. You can use it right there and send it out to them through those different avenues. Make sense? Yes or yes?
Yes.
Gang, if you will do this, I promise you, it'll make the business so much easier. Who would you prefer to work with? The people you don't know or the people you know?
People, you know.
Really know.
Well, you don't know my family. No, you do. You want to work with the people you know, right? Because they already like you, trust you, and respect you. In many cases, they love you. So why would you not have the business maturity, respect the relationships, and have a plan where you actually call people consistently? And of course, the answer is you wouldn't if you wanted to earn a high degree of income in real estate. Yes or yes?
Yes.
Okay, any thoughts or questions before we wrap this up?
I would just change quickly that not everybody prefers to work with who they know.
Do you prefer to work with what?
But not everybody prefers to work with who they know. But
That, well, that's, yes.
It's your goal.
Yep.
Then-
Yeah, there are some family members. I mean, the number of times my brother has bought and sold a home and I was not involved, I don't even want to think about it, but that's fine. Yes,
So, like, especially with like the mailing something out.
Yep.
Can you also like, yeah, have the market update, but can you also have something like fun and personal with it?
If you
So it's not just like.
yes, but what,
Super business.
Yes,
Or is that a bad idea?
no, I just, you want to come across as an expert in real estate,
Yeah.
right? So hit that chord, right? Push those hot buttons. But if you want to send out something else that's fun and so forth, fine, but do not let the information get lost in a bunch of stuff that doesn't have anything to do with real estate.
No kind of breakfast.
The key is that when they see whatever material you send, they think of you.
Right.
That's what they.
Top of mind.
So I had an agent once that sent out a bright orange card. That was it. And then on the other side, it had his name and stuff. And he was consistent with that all the time. So whenever they saw it, they thought of him.
Yeah,
And
pretty simple,
and
right?
it's just a matter of
That's
them seeing it and then attaching. It. That's one thing I see with a lot of agents here at Century 21. They try to disassociate themselves with the brand. They want to make their own brand. But if you train your SOI to think of when they see Century 21, they think of you.
Yeah.
Now you're using all the national branding to help your cause. Because if they're driving out and they see the commercial for Century 21, they think of your name,
Right.
now you win. But if they don't associate you with that, when they see that marketing, they won't. Think it.
Plus all of the signs in the community, right? Yeah, when they see your competition or another agent within the company's signs, they think of you because you have married your face and name to the logo and the reputation of Century 21. Yeah, great observation. Okay, all right, gang, let's go. Let's finish it up.